So what happens with Homelander is that he doesn't really have some kind of weakness that we associate with characters who have their power defined. He has no analog to kryptonite. He can't be harmed by fragments of the ship he came to Earth in. There is no ship, and his powers do not depend on solar energy. On the contrary, Homelander's weaknesses are psychological and result from his traumatic upbringing. In the comics, Homelander was literally raised underground and near a nuclear bomb until he reached adulthood. In the TV series, there was no nuclear bomb, but we do know that Homelander was raised in relative isolation and subjected to some apparently painful experiments, a fact that becomes clear in The Boys. Diabolical short about Homelander's first mission. Homelander's childhood trauma manifests itself in various ways that compromise his combat effectiveness. On the one hand, he showed a tendency to dissociate under stressful conditions. Homelander practically fainted when faced with criticism and terrified hostages. When he woke up, he had killed most of the hostages. Similarly, when confronted with photos of the carnage caused by Black Noir, Homelander concluded that he must have committed these atrocities in a blackout state. Homelander also suffers from psychosis and is prone to bouts of vivid hallucinations. We observe him having long conversations with himself, in both the TV series and the comics. But the most important thing is that Homelander lacks impulse control. This is part of the reason why he has no formal combat training. He doesn't take criticism well, is easily frustrated, and has a violent temper. Being assigned to train the Homelander is basically a death sentence. However, Homelander doesn't have to overcome these weaknesses to win battles in the Boys universe. In the TV series, he is arguably the most powerful Soldier Boy managed to gain the upper hand briefly, but Homelander would probably have killed him if it hadn't been for the intervention of Butcher and Hughie. Homelander doesn't need to be the best trained, the smartest, or the most stable because he's too powerful. But let's delve into the roots of his psychological weaknesses. Mental illness. Because he was raised in a laboratory with little or no human affection, Homelander grew up to be a mentally unstable man. His obsessive need to be adored, coupled with his lack of empathy and lack of moral reserve about harming and even killing other people, suggests that he suffers from malignant narcissism, carelessness, clumsiness. Homelander has very little regard for the lives of others, although there are rare exceptions, such as Tempesta. Consequently, he is not careful with the use of his powers, especially with his heat vision. His carelessness can be seen even during his first mission, when he used his heat vision to heat up a gun to make a terrorist drop it, which ended up causing an explosion that killed a hostage nearby and blew off the shooter's hand. While trying to stop a terrorist on Flight 37, he accidentally destroyed the controls to fly the plane, leaving the passengers behind to die on a doomed aircraft. On another occasion, when he was taking down a super terrorist with his heat vision, he inadvertently killed a local teenager who was chasing the terrorist. On another occasion, he and Queen Maeve were sent to apprehend a fugitive. Homelander accidentally used too much force and punched the criminal, killing him instead of capturing him. In fact, Homelander has never successfully apprehended a criminal without killing or seriously injuring the criminal, nor rescued a victim, the victims of Flight 37 being a case in point. Insecurities. Although Homelander presents himself as a strong and confident man, in reality, he has very little self-esteem. He has an obsessive need for everyone to love him, probably due to the lack of human affection he should have received during his childhood. As a result, he quickly becomes more aggressive and mentally unstable whenever he feels that his image and reputation might be in danger. When Tempesta starts criticizing his image and becoming more popular than him, Homelander quickly becomes intimidated by her, the need for a family. Having grown up alone in a cold and brutal environment, without any compassion or love, Homelander is always on the lookout for a real family. However, this could be his downfall. His need to prove his worth to his father figure, Stan, Edgar, almost destroyed Volt. And once he discovered that Soldier Boy was his biological father, he was so desperate for connection that it almost cost him his powers and his life during the second fight. His attachment to his son is also a great weakness, because it can make him careless, erratic, and paranoid. He was almost disempowered by Soldier Boy due to focusing on his injured son instead of Soldier Boy. Lack of real challenges. As Homelander is by far the most powerful super on Earth, he has never faced a challenge that would force him to improve his combat skills, despite apparently having received combat training in his youth. He generally prefers to confront his enemies with his heat vision, which brings most confrontations to a swift and decisive end. Consequently, he was overwhelmed by weaker enemies, like Billy Bruto, Hugh Campbell, and Soldier Boy, who managed to hold him off by working together, forcing him to flee. Later, it was shown that Maeve was able to fight him on relatively even terms, and even dominate him during the fight, due to his superior wrestling skills. Blunt force, limited durability. Although Homelander is the most durable super in the world, he is still far from invincible. Although most attacks do not cause visible injuries to his body, some individuals have managed to stop him through extreme force, while others have managed to injure him. For example, Kenji Miyashiro used his telekinetic power to bury him under several tons of rocks and rubble, including an entire bus, leaving Homelander apparently unable to free himself for several minutes, despite not showing any visible injuries after freeing himself. Certain beings, like Tempesta and Ryan, proved capable of at least knocking him out. Soldier Boy and Bruto were strong enough to fight and injure Homelander with brute force, leaving a large bruise on his face. During the fight, Maeve even managed to draw Homelander's blood, proving that he can be beaten to death with enough force. His testicles could also be a vulnerable area, as he recoiled in significant pain when he received a blow to the groin from Maeve. Ear injuries. Maeve was able to stab a metal straw into Homelander's ear. Not only was she able to penetrate his ear, but she was also able to incapacitate him and cause his ear to bleed. If it hadn't been weakened and injured, it's possible that it could have hit his brain. Zinc. Homelander can't see through it. It's very likely that he only has ray vision of low-energy photons, which is a possible reason why he can't see through metal. This vulnerability was taken advantage of by the boys on one occasion, when they placed the translucent remains inside a zinc-lined box, ensuring that Homelander wouldn't be able to locate it. High frequencies. His son Ryan shares this vulnerability. However, unlike Ryan, Homelander is able to function despite the pain it causes him. During a high-frequency wave that caused pain to him and Ryan was left with much helpless pain, while Homelander managed to locate and neutralize the source of the sound. No recovery skills. Homelander appears to lack the typical recovery abilities that are common among most supers. He was unable to recover quickly from a simple bruise on his face caused by Soldier Boy, and found it necessary to use concealer to hide it. However, it's possible that his ability to recover has atrophied, since he never needed it due to its extreme durability. So basically those are Homelander's weaknesses. What are your thoughts on Homelander? Make sure you share this video, and comment, and subscribe to the channel. Cheers from Cyber Nerd.